easier and better and simpler. But can just any one of you, just one answer from the sister's side and one answer from the brother's side. What is the definition of love? What is love, guys? Bismillah. Yes. Interest, affection, passion in someone or something, which is a good answer. Thank you, Hamid. What else? Yes. Sacrifice toward others. You're giving one of the manifestations of love. When you love someone or something, you sacrifice for it, which is nice. Yes. I agree with you. So I believe that every single one of us has their own definition of love, or they can describe it in their own way. But at the end, this is a concept. So the word love is a concept where it must have one philosophical definition. Because it's impossible for words that have two different definitions. So that's why before we discuss any topic, we have to agree on a certain definition, then we can move forward. But to be honest, they all revolve around affection and passion. Some scholars said love is attraction. Just when you feel attracted towards something, that's love. Now, the essence, love, which is al-mahabba in Islam, is an inclination of the heart toward that which is perceived as beautiful, beneficial, or perfect. So it's a natural force. And just keep that word in mind, natural. I can't force you to love something or someone. That's why when you said everyone has their own definition, I believe everyone, they have their own natural attraction towards something. So that's why, yes, I can force you to raise your hand. I can force you to walk or run. I can force you to give you, but I can't force you to love someone or something, or to respect someone or something, because it's natural. Everything that is natural, no one can force anyone to go against their own natural instinct. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam said, the hearts were created to love those who are good to them. That's also one of the natural attraction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hujurat, He said, حبب, love, true? حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبكم. So Allah made faith, goodness, righteousness, piety, pureness, all of these nice concepts, He made it beloved to us. Yani naturally we feel attracted to these individuals that they are righteous and pious. وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمْ. كَرَّهَ, opposite of attraction. You're not attracting yourself to anything. You're feeling detached. كَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمْ الْكُفْرُ وَالْفُسُوقُ وَالْعِصْيَانِ. Ungratefulness, fusuq, doing mistakes openly, no fear, no chastity, no modesty, nothing, no shyness. Wal-asyan, disobedience and stubbornness. So these also concepts, every human being feel naturally like detached from it or away from it. Now, I need Bismillah, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So Islam does not condemn love. It regulates and elevates it toward the goal of nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and building righteous life. That's why in my humble perspective, the main thing that we are all attracted to is God. Now, creation are manifestations of God's attributes, true? So when you're attracted to something, sometimes you lose the essence or the source and you're distracted with the what? With the images. Now, look at this table just in front of you. By the way, we have 20 words in Arabic language that refer to different levels of love. And now we can't mention them all. But we have al-mahabba that we just mentioned, which is love. You have al-hawa, you have al-shaghaf, al-taym, al-sabwa, al-sababa, al-ishq, al-lahaf, al-futun, al-wudd, al-gharam, al-huyam, al-wala, al-jawa, al-sahd, al-hanin, al-wajd, al-khalla, al-danaq, al-shawq. Holy, all are words in Arabic language that they all revolves around what? Around love. I just put some like mahabba is just general love. You have hawa, desire-driven affection, ishq, passionate love, wood, warm friendship, shawq, longing for reunion, khulla, deep intimacy, futun, lahf, and jawaz, allure, yearning, and torment, etc. of the different definitions of love. Now, Quranic framework of love. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Ar-Rum, He said, and of His signs that He created for you from yourselves mates, that you might find tranquility in them. And He placed between you affection, mawadda, and mercy, rahmah. So now based on this verse, males being attracted to females and vice versa, that's a natural inclination. Like no one can blame you. Or Islam cannot, like in a sense, feel that you're doing is sin if you felt internally attracted to someone, to anyone there. Sukoon, emotional and spiritual calm. Mawadda is outward expressed love. You know mahabba in the beginning that we spoke about? That's just verbal, emotional love. Just you're feeling something inside you, an energy that attracting you towards someone or something. Mawadda is showing that externally, proving that in the outside world. That's why now when one of the brothers said that love is sacrifice, that's mawadda. That's a manifestation of the second level of love where you're proving it practically. Selflessness, providing, investing time, effort, energy, all of that just manifestation of that. Allama Tabatabai said mawadda is love made manifest in action. It is not hidden or theoretical. It shows in one's behavior, words, and sacrifices. That's Allama Tabatabai, his definition of mawadda at the philosophical level. And that the youth must hear that, because not any time they feel energy within them attracting them towards something or someone, it means that they are forced to just move along. Okay, if I feel I want to tell someone that I love you or I'm attracted to you, then just any thought inside me I will share it. That's against wisdom. You're still that you, naturally you're healthy, as we say. But when it comes to showing that, that's where your intellect has to study the pros, cons, the advantages, disadvantages. You have to study yourself. Am I able to do that? Let me give you this example from the beginning. Like there's a lot of youth, they argue, okay, Sheikh, my Islam, my marriage is recommended at a young age. True? And delaying marriage is something against the Islamic principles. But at the end of the time, marriage is mustahab, is recommended, is not wajib. This is one. Two, there's a lot of youth, they rush toward marriage. And after they marry, they do haram. So you're going to do something mustahab to fall into haram. You tell me, okay, what is haram? If you're a man and you're going to get married, but you can't provide, you're doing haram. Makes sense? Or you're going to get married, but you still, your eyes is inside and outside. Like you're not content, for example, and you're giving all that attention to that wife. Then also you're oppressing a human being at the emotional, mental, psychological level. You're doing haram. So I can't rush to do something mustahab to fall into haram. That's what wisdom that I'm talking about. And that's what youth has to understand, that when they are thinking about marriage or love or having someone that they can communicate with and check up on and so on and so forth, they have to know that there is nothing in life comes with no responsibilities. Everything has what? Its own pressure and its own responsibilities. Now, that's why I need you to differentiate between mahabba, love, affection, natural attraction towards something that perfect and so on, versus mawadda, which is proving love practically. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran Kareem spoke about mawadda in three different groups. إلا المودة في القربة for أهل البيت, so mawadda toward أهل البيت عليهم السلام. مودة بينهم toward the believers. وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة, and He made between the spouses mawadda. So there is nothing called that I love you my brother, I love you my sister, and I'm not trying to put effort to prove that word. I love you is a sacred word. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said there is no female on the face of the planet that hears the word I love you and she forgets it. Like imagine these hala we have in our community. I'm just summarizing a lot of things that we'll be discussing together, inshallah. But there's a lot of individuals in our community, in middle school, high school, college phase. They go like they access the hearts of a lot of sisters and they leave them behind. Or they go for engagement and they leave them behind after. Or they do kat biktab and they leave them behind after. Do you understand that if that female, for example, she went through depression or psychological pressures and that affected her lifetime, you will be paying that in the afterlife. In the barzakh, Allah will remind you of every tear she dropped, and you will be paying the price and the consequences of every tear and reaction and heartbeat and that hate within, because you played with the emotions and you accessed the soul of someone and you left them behind like that. So just keep that in mind, because love is not a game. Love is not lust. Love is not I'm satisfying my desires. Love is not about kissing and hugging. Love is more sacred than that. Is you're integrating your soul with someone else's soul. So you're becoming one now at the existential level. Despite that, now types of love. We have the physical shahwa love, which sensual desire, often confused with real love. It's unstable, fades without deeper connection. And Islam provides halal outlets, marriage, to regulate this type. If your mind, sorry males, I will be somehow now, don't misunderstand me, I'm not trying to be offensive toward you, I'm a male. But I believe that Allah put a huge pressure when it comes to love and relationships on males, not females. Then females are recipients, sorry to call you recipient sisters, but in meaning that they don't initiate love, they receive love. So that's why if you're initiating love toward a female, and then you accessed her heart, and you made her trust you, and she will surrender to your will, and then you left her behind, at least as if you killed someone and kept them alive at the psychological, emotional, mental level. So if a male, and that's why I made this introduction, if a male, his mind is corrupted because of these nude sites, and his expectations of desires is so high because he's living in fantasy, and his I don't know what's going on in his consciousness and subconsciousness. Marriage is not just about the body. Is not females are not just a tool or a body for you to satisfy yourself with that, and that's it. Marriage is a system. Is a very deep connection of healing at all levels. It will give you stillness, stability, security. At the social level, you will be secure, protected. It will give you a higher purpose in life. That's what love is. That's what marriage is. So if your intention, if you're claiming I'm a believer, I'm a religious Muslim, and my intention is for the sake of Allah, then anything in life has to have a higher purpose. So when you eat, there's a higher purpose behind that. When you play sports, there's a higher purpose behind that. When you entertain yourself, there's a higher purpose behind that. It's all in the system of becoming closer to God. That's why Imam al-Qasim, for example, said, yes, make a portion of your day to entertain yourself, so you can energize with that hour yourself toward the rest of the hours, right? So now when I watch basketball for 2 hours, or football or anything, yes, I'm using that free time just to chill, to rest my mind, to have a good exit, so I can go back and fulfill my obligations and responsibilities. So marriage, when I'm going to hug my wife, kiss her, there is a higher purpose behind that. That's why scholars, they said, for example, you charge the female with love so she can charge the entire family with love. So yes, you're initiating love toward your wife, but she will charge the entire family and your children and your progeny. You know the social emotional growth of a child. You heard about that, right? Who charged the child with it? The mother. So when the father is giving that to the mother, she's giving him back a pure progeny. That's the higher purpose behind that. We're not animals. And we will never let the West picture things from animalistic just way, as if, and you get my point, unfortunately. There is the mental intellectual love is based on admiration of someone's mind, values, and goals. Can be pure and lasting if grounded in shared beliefs. Spiritual love, 3, bring you closer to Allah. Loving someone because they bring you closer to Allah, this is the highest form of love. Prophet Muhammad said, the strongest bond of faith is to love for the sake of Allah and to hate for the sake of Allah. But please, sisters, be careful. There's some parents, they will throw their son on you so you will fix their son. It doesn't work like that. Marriage will never fix anyone. There's prerequisites that the man and the woman, they have to reach certain level of seriousness and responsibility and understanding and acknowledging that lifestyle before they actually put themselves there. It's not that I will be fixed with marriage. بيتزوج وبيعقل مثل ما بنقول sometimes in Iraqi dialect. Or باللبناني إنه بيتزوج وهي بتنطفه. It doesn't make any sense. Like the man and the woman, they have to start, I believe, when the human beings start preparing themselves for marriage after the age of 13. That's why pre-marriage counseling shouldn't be just for 17 and 18 and 19. Even 13 years old must hear these things, because actually it's a goal in life, it's a good chapter in life. But subhanAllah, we have the event of now the occasion, anniversary of the birthday of Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'suma alayha salam. Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'suma, she reached perfection without getting married. And that's also an example for our sisters that if they were, sorry to call it like that, but if, let me say, by destiny and by God's fate, they didn't find the one who actually deserved to be their partner, because there's a spiritual bond and you can't marry someone who will be in the hellfire unless God is testing you somewhere. Like you married someone and after you have children, you find out that he's drinking or doing something haram, where you sacrifice to raise the kids on the straight path, then you divorce them afterward. That's a different case. But at the end, you can't marry someone who you know that he will enter the hellfire. You can't marry someone who will tell you to do things against God's will. You can disobey your husband if he's telling you to do something that you will displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at the end, if you're a female and you're 26, 27, 28, and you didn't find that good partner, you shouldn't feel there's something wrong with you. The issue is from the society. The issue is from this era. Imam Ali alayhi salam spoke about this era, that marriages will become hard, divorce rates will rise, and families will be destroyed, and these values will just be, like, unfortunately destroyed, and so on. There is the cultural or familial love based on shared culture, language, identity can be healthy, if not idolized or made into blind attachment. Like I know, for example, two Pakistani, they made aqd here at the mosque, but unfortunately he was living in a place there is no Pakistanis, and he was searching for a spouse close to him, shared values, shared environment, culture, etc. But he found her on an app. Now I will discuss the apps after, inshallah, applications. Emotional love based on bonding and validation, psychological love rooted in loneliness or trauma. And let me touch on psychological love. Please, we're living in a time that I think majority of us, we are affected psychologically and mentally. Some of us at a minor level, some of us major level. Some of us, we have trauma from a young age. And our consciousness, every single one of you is affected differently, because we watch different TV shows, different movies, we interact with different people, we have different fields in life, we hear, we see things. That's why our consciousness is affected differently. True? Never rush marriage because of loneliness or trauma, or I feel, for example, I have psychological pressures, I want to let out that energy by dipping myself in a high responsibility. How many males took advantage of females because of psychological disorders and issues? Like that's why, for example, in our culture, I believe if a female was in a relationship and she left that relationship, in our culture, the mothers leave her for a year without getting to know anyone. Why? Because we are unfair or strict? No, but because we know the psychological effects, and she needs a time for her mentally to heal so she can have a clear mindset to choose wisely. Again, wisely. Because at the end, love, affection, attraction is natural. You can't stop it. It's natural. But every time I feel attracted to someone or something, I will just share my feelings and thoughts. Are we animals? I forget my language. But we have intellect that in a way manage things, filter things, filter thoughts and words. Now what's going on with high schoolers and college sisters out there between the ages of 17 to 20? Any male will come tell her, I love you, she will fall. And khalas, he's the trustworthy white prince that I was waiting for him. Calm down. He might be more immature than your youngest sibling at home. Being a religious believer something, being a husband something else. Prayer and fasting will never build a husband with good skills. That's all skills need training, need discipline, need experience. But the Sheikh will tell me you're biased to females. I believe that females naturally become good wives. But males, they need to be disciplined to become good husbands because the responsibility is more on you. Now, some sisters, they will say it's unfair, Sheikh, Islamically, wallah, the male has authority over the female. What does this mean religiously, that the male has authority over the female in marriage? Not in a dictatorship way. A male has authority over the female, meaning and Allah is putting more pressure on him. More responsibilities on him. He will be questioned on Judgment Day for every detail in that relationship. You didn't know that Allah will never ask the females about raising kids on Judgment Day. He will ask the males. You didn't know that? That the female will be rewarded and the male will be questioned for every thought, everything happened to that child, unless, God forbid, the female corrupted them, which is rare. It's nearly impossible. Sallallahu Alaihi Muhammad. The purpose of love in youth. Islam acknowledges love as a natural and sacred inclination, as we said. Imam Ali said the heart of the youth is like uncultivated land. It accepts whatever is sown in it. Especially the first love. I'm trying to connect this hadith to the first love. You know, the most sacred, the most inspiring, influential, the most attached relationship is the first love. That's why we're not closed-minded. Hey, it's haram to have girlfriends in middle school and high school. And it's not about that. But it's about, do you understand, if you worked well on yourself, you and your potential future spouse, and you reach into the age of 21 and she's 18, and you are fully innocent still, not naive. There is innocence, there is naivety. Believers, we want them to have experience, but not to try things then get experience. You don't have to try things to gain experience. I don't have to have 10 girlfriends to have experience in love and marriage. And just simple workshops, you can get that. True. But despite that, put that aside. Yes, how it's beautiful. You're 21. You build yourself mentally, religiously, financially, for males, capitalized. Financially, socially, and she's the female, Anjad. She was pure, innocent. She concentrated on family, education, good friends, community. She volunteered with Islamic stuff like that. That's what we do in our community. All of a sudden, they get to know each other. She's his first love, he's her first love. That love will be lifetime. It's very strong. It's deep. That's why when any couple come to me, usually in divorce, I tell them that. I tell them that's the first marriage. You have to invest the most in the first marriage. I'm not saying, sometimes things happen, an emergency happen, and divorce might happen. I'm not fully against divorce. There is amjad, emergency cases where divorce is the solution. That's aside, we're not in a marriage workshop. But again, I'm giving you this tip to keep it in mind. When you're talking to middle school and high schoolers, tell them that. Now, Imam Ali salam said, many have perished chasing desires disguised as needs. How many females they lost their inner value because of previous relationships that led them to destruction. Now, love is a means, not an end. يعني love, يعني marriage, يعني that female in your life, brother, she has to be a mean to bring you closer to Allah. You're not marrying her for her. You're marrying her to become closer to God. Female, you're not marrying him for him. You're marrying him to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reason is God. The purpose, is God. When he and she, they both focus on the same goal, the relationship will work. Now, let me give you a weird example. I'm not normalizing that. But if he's materialistic, she's materialistic, the relationship might work. Might work well. Because they're seeking the same one. The same thing. If her purpose is business or money, his purpose is business or money, then they can open business together and the relationship will be perfect. Because they are seeking the same what also? Purpose. So I'm not talking religion and success in marriage. They integrate a lot, but if their purpose is sacred, which is to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But now, if that's what drives me crazy as youth in this community. If his purpose is desires and her purpose is desires, in how that works? How she respect herself or he will respect himself? Selling yourself like that, it doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Now, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Naturally, we are drawn toward beauty, strength, knowledge, and virtue. And yes, if a male, a religious male, he loved the female to be like, subhanAllah, he feel more attracted to certain faces, eye color, different things, that's normal, that's natural, as we said. But then not every attraction meaning that this is your nasib. As if God, he made you be attracted to her for a reason. It has to be all filtered by the intellect. Now, some youth out there, they do khiras when they are attracted to someone. Khira on a person will never work. Khira on the date of marriage might work. Now, for example, you can do a khira not on the person, but if it's good to now start a relationship, that's fine khira. But khira on a person, it will never work because Allah will never choose on your behalf, especially your spouse. Let me tell you why. Because Allah knows in any marriage there is challenges, there's obstacles, there is tribulations, ups and downs. Inti, as a man, your religion, your skills, your experience, your knowledge will help you overcome these obstacles. There is nothing called easy life in marriage. Prophet Muhammad had hardships in marriage. Imam Ali had hardships in marriage. There is nothing called it's easy going or paradise. That's why you can't choose someone, okay, the khira went well, I chose her, and then you blame God after. Or the female made the khira on him, he went bad, she will blame God for that. Allah will never choose on your behalf. He gave you free will for you to choose. So you can, when you choose, you will accept her and she will accept you as is when you choose. That's why God gave the yes for the female. There is no force on the face of the planet will force a female to marry someone without her full contentment and acceptance. But again, unfortunately, they take advantage of sometimes of some psychological weaknesses here and there. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam said, from childhood to adulthood, we change what we think will complete us. A toy, then fame, then status, etc. Inti, what completes you? Some males, sorry to say it, take straightforward, open-minded. Some males, I'm eating, drinking, all my needs are satisfied. I still have one need. Let me go find a girlfriend. That's not what love for. That's not what marriage for. That's what relationships for. Right. That's why unregulated love in youth risks and realities. And let me speak about this part for a couple minutes. Guys, every relationship, total respect to anyone. Being young doesn't necessarily mean that you're intellectually young. Because subhanAllah, as we said, psychologically, everyone experienced life differently. I might, in my life, I was working on cases of 55 years old and 50 years old divorce cases. 45 or 40, 65 or 60. I was dealing with teenage mindset when I was dealing with these divorce cases. Emotions sometimes will bring back that child inside you. Okay? So, in emotional pressures and problems, you're not 60 years old, you're not 50 when you're dealing with it. You might be a child because of the psychological pressures and issues that you have with them. So, meaning that when I say unregulated love in youth, every 13 years old, when I'm starting from that age, when they start having urges, attraction, they feel that, oh, I love this girl in my class. Some children, I love this teacher. I'm being honest with you. Some children in the houses, they might love their neighbor. So that these different attractions here and there, it will not make you an evil person. You're still discovering yourself, Habib Albi. So in a sense that you need a higher intellect to help you regulate these urges and attractions and thoughts and feelings. Sisters, please listen to me. You have to understand Islam from a different Ajat perspective. Why females, their father is their authority until they get married? Because they can choose to themselves? Yes, they can. Females are immature? No, they are more mature than males in these topics. Then why the father has to be still her guardian? Not because she can be trusted, but because that male who's coming to propose for marriage might be a hidden fox news, a hidden snake, a hypocrite. We have in the Quran Kareem that they always say كيد النساء no إن كيدكن لعظيم. Females, their deceiving system is huge. In the Quran who said that is the minister of Egypt, not Allah. But when Allah spoke about the deceiving system of the siblings of Yusuf, Allah described their deceiving ways. So I believe males are more deceiving than females. A proof? Who's running the world? Who are the 1%? Who are the CEOs? Keep that in mind. Despite that, the father has to be there because the male knows a male. Not because the female can be trusted. Unfortunately, what's going on, that some fathers are not playing the role well. Or some brothers in houses, they know the role toward their sisters. Or us, as believing brothers and sisters, we don't know our role toward our arad. Our arad, females in Islam are our arad. They are under our protection as believers. Any female that say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is under our protection. When I'm a Muslim means that people can be safe from my hand and from my tongue. A believer, mu'min, means who people can trust you with their money and their females. Look, Wallah al-Azim, hello, become any shway, hear it up. We hear the Quran and what we're witnessing out there. Look, how you claim you're a Muslim and you're a mu'min, and you're doing that to the females of people out there, and they are all Muslims and mu'mins also. You're claiming you're a mu'min. Like how you stand pray and you're destroying people's hearts like that. How you dare, I'm not saying don't pray, but how do you feel talking to Allah and you ruined lives of 10 females in your past? Remember, that's why males, I'm putting pressure on you. You should count till billion before you say the word I love you. Billion! Then when you said it, there is no coming back. خلاص. When you send that heart emoji or flower emoji, or you go ChatGPT, wallah, her name is ما بعرف, I will not throw a name now. but her name is XYZ. Wallah, her age is this. Write for me a poem. You became Romeo, mashallah. But at then, after you became that Muslim converted Romeo or reverted Romeo, you have to understand that there's no coming back after that. ما في returning. There's no returning. You access the heart, there is no coming back. Wallah azim, I know a lot of religious sisters. Wallah, I'm not, listen, I don't know anything about your privacies, guys, so no one think that I'm talking to anyone particularly. Wallah. But I know, for example, one of the stories, a very religious sister, very religious brother. I'm not kidding. Oh, he will have, inshallah, his marriage soon. But I didn't know that he shared his feeling with a previous sister. Both religious. Now, who can free her from him? You know, she's weak, she can't. It's not about weakness. That's spiritual attachment. If you can't attach yourself spiritually to someone, then you tell that person just detach. It's not a game, we're not machines. We're humans. But it's your fault. Because at the end, sisters will say to themselves, if you didn't share any emoji, you didn't tell them I love you, you didn't share any feelings, they might see signs, but at the end they will tell themselves afterwards, and yes, he didn't show anything. It's my fault that I thought like that. That's easier than you sharing a poem or I love you or emoji, and then that's it. God knows that after you go to Barzakh, you will see the side effects of every relationship you had from grade 5 all the way to death. And it's not a game. You're changing fates. I might change a future of someone when I do this. That's why love is not haram. Afwan. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. So the higher meaning of love is not lust, is not satisfying desires, is not how the atheists in this existence they define love. It's not about kissing, hugging. It's not about the private relation. It's not about that. That's, to be realistic, is 0.1% of any relationship. 0.1%. 99.9% something else. It's communication. في social relation, في social responsibility. في raising kids. في providing. في keeping the family secured, safe. All of that. Well, system, huge system. This house, when you go to your marriage house, that your house is your smaller universe. And you're creating a small universe in that big universe. As if you're creating your small paradise and you're proving to God that I deserve paradise because I made paradise with my wife. That's marriage. Okay, Prophet Muhammad said, whoever marries has indeed protected half of his religion. She has protected half of his religion. 50% of your spiritual perfection will be in marriage. But that doesn't mean that you can gain that spiritual perfection in also single life, like Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'sooma. Going back to these connections. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He warned us in the Quran Kareem, unchecked desire driven by ego or impulse, it blinds you from truth, accountability, long-term consequences. Imam Ali said the worst enemy of the human being is the hawa inside him. Hala, females, there is one word, it's always there toward males, narcissist. You know how many times I heard that? Islamically, it's not narcissism. Islamically, Islamically, that male that you marry, he doesn't worship Allah. He worships his own desires. How? Allah said that in the Quran. He said some individuals, they consider their God, their whim, their desires, themselves as God. So that's why what you're marrying is not a human being. You're marrying a pharaoh wearing Muslim clothes. How causes justifying haram, delaying marriages, chase feelings over faith. Guard the gaze. First, gate to the heart. يعني هلا في it's a habit. يعني looking, it's a habit. I know any males, they are religious, but they have mischief within them. There is something corrupted within them. They always look. Like he will be walking, he and his wife, will still look at some sisters in a weird way. By the way, sisters, they know the message from the way you're looking at them. Allah gave them that power, by the way. And if you're looking at them in an innocent way, they know. If you're looking at them in a corrupted way, they know. That's true. But what I'm trying to say, that also the male has to understand that if you're not satisfied in the future with your wife, it's your issue, it's your problem. It's not hers. It's you. Because you did not control your gaze. You accessed million sites. You saw thousands of different females here and there. You, ما بعرف how many relationships you were in before. You corrupted your own self. Haram, what happens to females after marriage? Because the husband is not satisfied, they blame themselves as if it's our fault. It's not your fault, it's his fault. That's why they end up saying he's narcissist. The Prophet said the gaze is one of the poisoned arrows of shaitan. Poisoned arrow of shaitan. وبعد في some males, they claim they are in the throne of Allah there spiritually, وهن ما بعرف what they are doing. Islamic boundaries don't restrict, they protect. يعني they guard youth from spiritual wounds, regretful heartbreak, unlawful emotional bonds. Allah said, do not even approach zina. He didn't say don't do zina. He didn't say don't approach. Approach يعني start the first steps toward it. ما هي ما بعرف هلا كنا احنا excited in high school. بيجي ما بعرف هلا let me say an example of some sisters out there. مثلا they are bored, lonely, some emotional psychological pressures. They want to fill that gap with what? Throwing themselves into anyone. When they will realize their mistake after they start experiencing the consequences and the harm of this. طب نحن as Muslims, what do? We come to her, we tell her, be careful. These steps will end up with that conclusion. It's 100%. هلا أنا أحلى شيء أكثر شيء هيك يعني make me sometimes عن جد laugh إنه ما والله he doesn't pray, he doesn't fast, he cusses. I will fix him. I will correct him. I will guide him. طب why God did not send you a prophet? أنت خلص assigned by Allah prophet to change them. يعني لما نرجع في prerequisites. Key prerequisites has to be established before marriage. If these prerequisites are not there, you can't throw yourself like that. Life is not a game. يعني at the end, some females هلا بيكون عمرهم 26, 27, they have 2 children, they are divorced. طب what did you gain from all of these emotions? Oh, I was convincing my family I can change him. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. Trust me. يعني هولي أصلاً logical conclusions لأنه يعني سبحان الله life is simple when you have strong intellect. 1 + 1 = 2. If you take the route of A, the conclusion will be the B, the conclusion that يعني its things are there, we can see it. Okay. أهل teachings on issues. Imam Salih alayhi salam said looking lustfully is one of the poison arrows of shaitan. If a glance is spiritually dangerous, what about flirtation, emotional bonding, secret chats, romantic fantasies? Let me tell you this story. Imam Ali was sitting, he and his companions. So they saw a woman passing. They started abusing her with words. Flirting, in other words, but with words. Imam Ali looked at them. He didn't beat them up, but what he did, he told them, aren't you married? They said yes. He said, go back to your wives. If you're looking at women physically, they are all the same. If that's how you look at women, they are all the same. If you're like that, you're looking from an animalistic perspective. Females is attribute, it's the beautiful attributes of Allah. That's what females are. Females are healers for mentally for the male and spiritually and psychologically. They are actually healers. They can spiritually put you in the highest levels of heaven if you're evolving together. بس ما بعرف نحن لأنه عن جد we were obsessed with Turkish and Mexican TV shows growing up. خلينا addicted to these TV shows. Okay? Don't leave any episode. Why emotional relationships are spiritually harmful? Emotional attachments without commitment, hearts given away with no guarantee, equal heartbreak. Distraction from purpose, preoccupation replace worship, growth, and family preparation. Imam Bakr said that the heart that is preoccupied with a person will be veiled from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Open doors to sin, emotional highly equal to physical temptation equals secret sin, and Allah says do not approach zina. Delusion and false hope. Hala, now if I told you, Ajad, I don't have time for these questions, but they are important. If now I told you, describe love from marriage. Majority of the young ones, not young, but I'm speaking 20, 21, they will be thinking about this. When he entered the house to propose for marriage, and the gathering of the family, and not from the culture that they put with the tea, with the coffee. I know there's different ways to do it. Or they think about the cafeteria preparations. That's how they imagine marriage. They think about going out together, coffee shop, restaurants. They think about the white dress. They think about the honeymoon. That's finish imagining. No, but if you live with him 40 years, that's around 1% of and all the cost is 1% of that. There's still 99% responsibilities, routine, especially when you have the first child, psychology affects the first child. All that process, the male has to understand her, contain her in her down moments as she was doing in his down moments. They are lifting each other up. Their number one priority is themselves. Do he understand that when he's taking care of his wife, he's taking care of himself? That's how we look at her. How we look at her, just Allah, when he has urges, he now puts some effort emotionally. Or now he also has fun. Now he's scared of her. That's why many females in their private talk, when they sit together, and just some of them, they are reaching to a conclusion that all males are just animals. But that's very dangerous, to be honest. And in the private talk, I said they don't share that in public. The dignity of waiting for halal love. First, but also advice to females. When you tell him no, give me your phone number, no. Definitely if he said it also in a wrong way. First, you're testing his commitment, his intention. If he really wants you, he will come back. Some parents, they always, the first, if a brother came to me, he told me that her parents told me no. He tried once. I told him, did you try another time? He said no. I told him, Habibi, there's some parents, they purposely say no to check your what? Your seriousness. And when you put more effort, you're showing seriousness. Second, when he put more effort, he's patient. Unfortunately, some sisters, sometimes they are impatient. The female must be more patient than the male. Naturally, the male initiate, the female receive. She must lead the emotional aspect of the relationship. Be patient, and marriage afterwards require patience. Inti as a female, if you will always just go with him when he's aggressive, you just go with him. But at the end, if you didn't sense from him a high level of patience, how he will succeed as a husband or as a father? Husband lifestyle, how much you need patience? Or father's lifestyle? Keep that in mind. So that's why halal love, at least it will generate patience. If you're able to control your urges, I have to mention that, please. Allah created me. I'm able to control my desires naturally. But if I accessed a lot of forbidden stuff from the age of 14 all the way to 20, then I strengthen my desires to a level where my intellect can't control it anymore. It's not Allah's fault that He created that within you. It's your fault that you access some haram things that He forbids, where you corrupted your own self. Now, do you see what that example, that will affect you when you get to know a female? You'll not have patience to know her, to talk to her, to communicate with her, to build a healthy relationship with her, because you're rushing things now. So after you start rushing things and things, it will end up corrupted relationship, or it will end up with divorce. And that's one of the reasons why now the rates of divorce is high. Halal love leads to peace, trust, spiritual sweetness, rooted from patience. Right. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said every structure falls except that built on taqwa and nikah, halal marriage. So two pillars will make every structure, not falls, succeed. Piety, righteousness, and halal marriage. Now, the Prophet's view, no foundation is more beloved to Allah than marriage. We're speaking about a successful foundation, built with taqwa and what? And halal marriage. I know some females, they told me they knew each other for around 3 to 4 years. Never he said once to her, I love you. They knew each other, they were communicating, checking up on each other. Allah, I will end up with this. No, alhamdulillah, we still have time. Just give me, I still have to check two parts, inshallah. But she told me, if he said it once, I would just let him. If he told her once that he loved her before Katb al-Kitab, she would have left him. And that's how our sisters has to be. Then at the end, if the female can sense that he loves her without him saying what, that he loves her. But when he said it, that means he lost patience. She has to help him strengthen patience. Because again, he needs the patience to fulfill his role as a father and as a husband. Now, signs of true love versus lust. Give you another example. Real life examples, but none here. There's a female, they have 3 children. They are still in 30s, 30, and in the beginning of 30s. The male is not coming near his wife anymore. That's also oppression, haram Islam. Why? Because it's lust, it's not love. I will say things because at the end we're living in this real world and we are the generation of social media and we're seeing things. When the female discovers that her husband, he's married, he's still addicted to certain wrong habits. He's not coming near her. What do you think how Allah is looking at this creature? Just think about these things from God's perspective. That's why we have Ishq Mamduh, love aligned with faith and fitrah. We have false love, Ishq Madmoom, attachment, driven by ego, desires, and escape. He wants to satisfy his desires because he needs temporary exit. Some youth are like that. Imam Sadiq said, whoever loves for the sake of Allah, their faith is complete. If you love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So signs of true love brings you closer to Allah. Intention of commitment involves family, not secrecy. Why you're hiding it? If you're doing something for the sake of Allah, why you're afraid? Hiding in parks, in some places here and there. And why? If you're a man, hey male, sorry, females are not talking to you. If male, you're a man, why you're hiding it? Sometimes we press the buttons of each other like that. يا محمد أجمل شيء those men who will be cheating مثلا. عفوا I'm saying it with a smiley face but لأنه at the end he's getting caught by his wife who's standing like a very poor humiliated creature. If you're a man, why you're hiding? Now increases purity, not temptation. That's the true law. Signs of lust, secretive, emotional, and fantasy, no long-term vision, excuses to avoid responsibility, marriage is expensive, not ready, will repent later. Oh, the list goes on. Imam Ali said, excessive love makes you a prisoner. Imam Qasim, delaying good is the door of shaitan. Okay, this is, I always promise you I will send the PowerPoint, so I will not promise you tonight. I'm losing. Finally, um, we spoke about all these in that عفوا بعد في عنا صلى على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Sorry, but let me mention that from here. I don't know, I didn't include that thinking in the PowerPoint. But I will say some jurisprudential rules when it comes to the halal way of getting to know someone. عفوا. One moment. And even if Satan made me miss that, we'll never give up. Yeah. Rules. Okay. First we said having feeling or attraction in Islam is not haram. يعني أنت if you came to a sheikh, a male, if you went to a sheikh, if you went to your father, if you went to a preacher, you went to anyone that you trust, you were sitting with with some brothers in faith in a gathering, and you told them, "Wallah, I felt attracted to that girl today at the mosque somewhere I know." That's not haram Islamically. No one can blame you for having that natural attraction. So internal attraction without acting upon it is permissible. Supplicating to Allah to help make someone your spouse is fine. Definitely that's mustahab. Seeking a spouse through halal means is mustahab. Looking at the opposite gender, clean boundaries. Sayyid Sistani, it's haram to look lustfully at non-mahram. يعني أنت when you look at female, the moment you have a thought from Satan that it's a lustful thing, you have to repent, and you have to convince your intellect that I'm not looking for the outside. My priority is like that. Skills and values, knowledge and the intellect side, then the body. يعني knowledge, values, values, skills, spirituality, يعني soul, intellect, mind, career, etc., then the body. Definitely the three are naturally important. But if you're a mature person, that's your priority in looking at a female. Now, looking at the face and hands without lust is fine in Islam. Example of haram graze, staring at a crush or someone attractive with desires, watching seductive media, viewing social media photos of non-mahram and in tight, beautifying clothing. Also, sisters, you have a huge responsibility also you toward another sisters out there. يعني if you see on social media a female scarf in a gym and she's viewing herself in a video that's haram, you have to comment that. And it's your responsibility. And at the end, these females, sorry to call them cheap, but also they are destroying the image, how the female think and operate and feel out there. But alhamdulillah, we have examples like Sayyidah Fatima, Sayyidah Zainab, and Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'suma, alayhi salam. Forbidden forms of interaction. Chatting just to feel emotionally close. Talking about religion, life, even discussing, you're sitting, girls and boys, sisters and brothers are sitting together, and they're discussing the problems of marriages. It's fine, it's still scientific discussion. You're in college talking to sisters about homework, then sometimes they are more organized than brothers in these types of things. It's fine, Islam. Just talking with no marriage intentions. Talking for no reason. just to talking. Hidden or secret communication, compliments like you're beautiful, I miss you. The list goes on and on. Or just sending weird emojis. All emojis big in stickers. They can, you can access hearts just with stickers these days. Um, touching, hugging, and handshaking, obviously. Definitely, if you're these questions, and if a female drowning, you want to save her life, where you are in a Turkish TV show, yeah. Five, loving someone or wanting to marry, permissible if done properly. Having the intention of marriage, discussing marriage respectfully through family or appropriate channels, seeking advice and praying istikhara. But it's not permissible to start an emotional relationship first. Saying to the female, I love you, will not secure the relationship. But getting to know her parents will secure that. If you want any female to feel safe, and that's the number one um, thing important in English to make the female safe, is to tell her to let her parents know about you trying to communicate with her. Just the idea, sisters always remember, if the male told you to tell your parents, that's the first anjad key that this is a serious relationship. Emotional relationship before marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend culture, all major scholars in Shia and Sunni school of thought, they all say it's forbidden. Emotional intelligence is considered a form of muqaddimat al-haram, as we said before. Now, to finalize, and this is the final thing. Someone will ask me now in our current time, what is the best way to get to know someone? First, there is what we call the mihna and or signs. And at that, if you want to find a good female, you have to go to good places. I know that the old school parents used to put effort to find something. But now I don't know why parents say I'm not getting involved anymore. The parents, by the way, parents helping you get to know someone, that's not that thing. Some females did a big role. Delete, block. First, let me just discuss this in intellectual. Your parents raised you. Your parents know your character. They have more experience to know the other person's character. Based on initial assessment, I don't think when your parents advise you with someone, that means that someone is bad by nature or by default. There's no issue of you going communicating and knowing and checking yourself if you actually feel attracted or not. Some from the new generation, just because the parents say literally no attraction, they love their nature, they close their hearts. Just keep that in mind. But if you want to get to know someone, first you will find a good one in a good place. And I will not expect you being in a nightclub, for example, and finding someone good. Or I won't mention concerts or something. But yes, mosques, good gatherings in the community, field days, sometimes in the workplace. Because you're interacting with that person before for a while, then you might start knowing that character. But these places, when you see a person serious, responsible, soft skills, attributes. But how do you get to know them? Tell that someone saw something. What should you do? You have the first step is a harmless step. It's actually knowing if the other person is in a relationship or not. True? So first, you might ask someone, a medium, a middle person that they know. Or sometimes some people go to the chef. Chef's figure is different. Or the best way for brothers is to send the girl to talk to the girl. And either you bring your sister with you, you bring I don't deal with your cousins or your sisters, or they're still not mahram. But when you bring someone that's trustworthy to you, and they can talk about, that's a good sign from you. That's a good thing from you that you do. Show how you check they love. Now, after you know that she's not in a relationship, you have to know if she's willing to get to know someone. But now, if the curiosity is, I won't, a female will say, I want to see him. True? Is the female saying that is haram? And the female says, I want to see. Is that haram? It's not haram. And all I want to read like that, she wants to feel safe looking at them. And right to look like Netanyahu. And she wants to look at her face that maybe she feels happy, and she feels calm when she looks at least. Like, she looks at them, oh, they look nice. But maybe she will fall in love with them. The psychological disorder, the mental issues, the pressures, she has to fix that. She saw him okay, she something good. How she found him, she has to go to him. There's someone in the mosque in this place, in that place, that Allah, he said, and why you inform your parents? Not because he's still a child, he's a baby, that you don't know how to choose for your own. No, because marriage, there is also a social part of this marriage. Yeah, you're preparing your mother for that support. But now it's not communication. You must even tell them, please tell your mother. She will shock you, tell you that you will not. Right. Then, okay, you will tell her, I need to ask permission from your mother. If she didn't tell her mother, that I need to talk to you. Then, okay, the mother will allow you to talk to her. True? Then yes, you will start having minor communications. That's the step one, is the hardest step. Step two, the father will not know officially. In our culture, it's like that. It depends on the case, but majority of cases, the mother will tell the father secretly, but she will tell the father, don't mention that in front of our father, because she will feel shy. She can't look at her father anymore. She can't say, not weakness, that's chastity, that's purity. But now the father will never know. After that, you communicate with her, everything's fine, checklist. The mother will ask you about your financial side. Females do not link with that with mother, she's pressuring him. That's also one of the mistakes. Yeah, the mother will be saying things that the daughter can't say. The daughter will be afraid, no, we will bring this up. Don't think like that. Let your mother say the things that you can't say. Yeah, she will pressure the man, you have a house, or you work, how much you make money. These questions someone has to ask them. But now the mother checklist, okay, my daughter will be safe now. Now your mother will get to know her mother. Perfect? Family connection. Then, please listen to this. Then her mother will tell her father step 3. Then step 4, you will go and meet her father officially in the house. Then you will bring your parents to meet with her parents officially. Then you will do the whole thing with the relatives. Then you will do everything. Then you will move on. That's what the Bible says. That's a proper way to do it. And listen, never fear if you're in an age where you're financially ready and you're religiously happy to die, not do harm, and you're close to all, and your intentions for marriage, no man should fear approaching you. And your intention for sake of Allah, Alhamdulillah, رب العالمين. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Any questions before we conclude?